Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we are doing an overview on the HPI WR8 Flux. This is a re-release, guys, so just so that you are aware, the WR8 Flux came out sometime around 2012. It originally was a Ken Block car. The 20th anniversary Richard Burns 2001 WRC Drivers Champion edition that we are looking at today. HPI is stating that this is a 16 mile per hour vehicle. HPI is stating the electronics are waterproof, but the servo is water resistant. Comes with 3 differentials, so you got a front, center, and a rear differential on this car. Let's talk about the dimensions of this car. The overall length is 485 millimeters. The wheelbase is 300 millimeters, and the width is 227 millimeters. But here we are, the WR8 Flux in all of its glory. And I know everybody says this, that the video does nothing for the body, but this one really pops, guys. The body has an undercoating of silver paint on there, so the metallic is coming up, and it kind of gives that shimmer depending on how the light hits it. I don't even know if my camera is picking it up, especially on the hood, because it looks like they did a nice light coat of the blue, but they really backed it with the silver that you're seeing underneath here. And it really does show up, guys. It really shows up a lot on here. The decals are put on perfectly on here. They knocked it out the box. I wish the weight of the body was a little bit thicker, but it feels the same consistency based on a body I had painted up for the original WR8 Flux. So that body held up well for me. I'm looking forward to this one doing so, but I see where there could be possibilities of rubbing, and I will be doing some reinforcement for that action. But outside of that, the windows are clear. Hopefully you guys are picking that up on the camera. I'm glad to see that HPI did things like this, because this is just a beautiful body, guys. It is beautifully done. There is no areas for you to put lighting, so as you guys can see, everything is painted over. There is no areas for lights to come through. If you did, you'd have to punch through the body and do your lights in that fashion. But outside of that, this is the showpiece. This is one of the key pieces that I see on this car, and I'm amazed about it. On the rear, we have a wing, and it's affixed by screws, and there's nuts backing it. I am noticing, and this is probably the one thing I'm a little bit upset about, I am noticing that the wing is a slightly different tone than the rest of it. So maybe they hit the wing with a little bit more paint on it, but I'm noticing the wing is a slightly different tone. Looks a little darker, a little richer versus the rest of the body. I'm noticing a little bit of overspray, which could be scraped by my fingers on the edging of this. Not a big deal. For me, not a big deal, but I know some are going to find that that's an issue for them, but that's the one thing I am noticing. There is a little bit of overspray going on there, and if you scrape your finger across it, you could probably clean that off a little bit. On the underside over here, I'm not noticing any overspray. It looks really good, but I really do like how this body came out. HPI, in most of its fashions, they give you the 4 AA's for the controller. They give you some Allen keys, a T-wrench for your wheels, shock pistons, spacers for the shocks, because these shocks are not screw-down shocks. They require a spacer to make your adjustments. And that all comes in this packaging that you're seeing here today. You get a sticker sheet, which they have already started to apply some of the stickers to the car. There's only a handful of stickers still left, which are HPI stickers that you can still put on the car. I think the car doesn't need any more stickers. I think it looks very good as is, but they give you a little bit more HPI stickers to put on there if that's what you want to do. You get some more WR8 stickers and HPI stickers to put to the car. As I said, I don't think it needs any more. I think it's got enough stickers on there as it is. You get the card that references the app to load onto your phone or your personal device, so you can access more information in regards to HPI products. You get an owner's manual for the controller, which is the TF41. Very basic, guys, and it also speaks to the receiver, which is the RF41P. If you're ever having issues with binding, how to set up your receiver, your transmitter, definitely thumb through this guide. For the controller, there's nothing new. We're familiar with this controller. It's the TF41. This comes with pretty much every re-released HPI vehicle as of today, and it has come with pretty much every HPI RC that I have owned since back in 2012. So this by far is not new, but it is reliable, guys. It is a very solid controller. It has all the trims. I've talked about this in tons of my videos, so I won't go through it as much today. It takes 4 AA's, has a foam wheel, has the steering trim, the throttle trim, steering dual rates. You have the endpoints. You have your endpoints all here, which there's a tool in the bottom of the battery tray, which you can pull that tool out and you can make those adjustments on the fly right here for your endpoints. You have your on-off switch right here. You have your bind button. You also have a 3rd channel on this controller, and it feels pretty good to hand. It is a little long in the tooth with a extended antenna. So you also have your reverse switches up here in the front for your steering, your throttle, and for the 3rd switch, you have the reverse switches all up here in the front. But for the most part, it operates well. It is no issue. I've never had an issue with cutting out, with range, or anything like that. It will get you by for an RTR controller. More about HPI's warranty and guarantee, and probably the most important reading of all of them is the owner's manual. And this is a very thick manual, guys, with a lot of good reading. I mean, HPI really does cover everything. If you're familiar with HPI owner's manuals, this one is no different. It does come in black and white. It is not color, but it is extremely detailed. Comes in various languages as well. If you're ever having any issues with the car, blowouts, everything is in there for you. You know, definitely keep this to your side so you get a better understanding of the product. But this is what we're here to see, guys. This is what we're here to see in all of its glory. The HPI WR8 Flux. This is an iconic body style with an iconic livery on it, and there's nothing more I can say about this body. For the wheels and tires, these are nothing new. For anyone that's familiar with the WR8s prior to all of this, these are the same wheels that were on the WR8s prior. They came in this color, a black and a white prior to all of this, and these colors are the same that we're seeing today. As for the tires and the tire patterns that are on here, the tires on this car are directional. So you have left and right tires on this vehicle. This tire tread pattern was also available back when they released the vehicle back in 2012. They hook up amazingly. They will balloon a little bit on 3S, but they hook up amazingly, guys. I've used these tires on my original WR8, and I love them to death. This is one of those cars that I'll just come out and tell you guys, don't be surprised how it drives on 2S. I know everyone has gotten enamored with driving things at high speed, but how this thing looks, it's unbelievable. 3S, you'll get the back end to break out, but 2S, you'll see the body swaying and shifting, and it just looks amazing. It's just an amazing setup. For the car itself, if you're familiar with the stadium truck, the monster truck, I think it's the Bullet is the monster truck or the stadium truck on this. It's the same chassis setup, guys. So this is basically a monster truck converted into a on-road car. And what you're seeing today is the same setup that you saw back in 2012. I did some comparisons to see if there was any changes to my 2012, and I'll bring that out later in the video. They did up the servo on there, and I'll show that too. The servo does seem like it's a more powerful servo that's on the car now. But we have a nice foam bumper, adjustable body mounts up in the front. That bumper then comes back to the 3mm shock tower. We have composite shocks, we have composite shock caps. It's oil-filled shocks that we're seeing on this car. Those shocks are adjusted by spacers. The links for camber in the front and in the rear are fixed. The toe in the front is adjustable. We have a sway bar also going along in the front of the car as well. There is a brace in the front. Then we have dog bones coming from the front differential to the center differential. And then another dog bone coming from the center differential to the rear differential. Coming back to the rear, we have mud guards in the rear. There is no toe adjustment in the rear. There's a 3mm shock tower in the rear. It has 2 adjustments on the top and 2 adjustments on the bottom. For the front shocks, we have 3 adjustments on the top on the shock tower, and we have only 2 adjustments on the suspension arm. Front and rear drive shafts are dog bones. Caster block and steering assembly is all composite. The rear hubs are also composite. Those links in the rear are also composite. You have composite side guards on the chassis. Battery tray is adjustable, and the batteries are affixed with Velcro straps. SS20 WR Servo. It is, as I stated before, it is water resistant. I believe that's a 20 kilogram servo. The previous ones, and I mentioned that earlier, is a 10 kilogram servo. For the motor, we have a 4,000 kV motor. I believe the electronics in regards to the motor and the ESC are rebranded Hobbywing products. We have a metal geared spur and pinion that is also supported with a metal motor mount. There is a composite bracing on the rear and a composite front and rear bulkhead. This has a 3mm aluminum chassis. The suspension on this car is super plush. And I have to say, guys, don't feel intimidated by driving the car this way when you first come out. It is set up for light off-road and rally type setups. And if you drive the car out of the box as is, you're going to see why they set up the shocks in this way. A lot of people, when you're used to driving on-road cars, you want the suspension to be a lot more stiff. But I find with this car and its realistic looks, keep it the way it is, guys. If you want to change it to more of a performance vehicle and not for it to be that scale realism of rally, then go ahead and stiffen up your oil in your shocks. But for me, I've kept it, even on my original one, the stock setup, because I like the way that it sways. I like the way that it performs. It will dip down in the front in regards to when you're braking. It's just a very scale looking RC when it's out there driving. If you guys have not seen my original WR8 videos, please go back and look at them, but you'll see what I'm talking about. The car looks very scale when it's driving around. Since posting up some pics on Instagram, I've had a couple questions in reference to the WR8 Flux. On the suspension arms, there is a droop screw adjustment there. Droop screw is actually not in the truck. If you look in your tools bag that comes with the car, you see that your grub screws are in there, and you will need to mount those grub screws to be able to adjust your droop. For the wheels and tires that are on this car, just so that you understand, it's not just standard 1/10 or even 1/8 style wheel. It is slightly bigger, and the overall diameter of the tire is 80 millimeters. So you guys understand it when you're looking for alternatives. Me, I've always stayed with the HPI tires and wheels for the car. I think they hook up pretty well. They do wear well as well. So I've always used the HPI ones, but the hexes on the back of this, they're 12 millimeter hexes, and they're fixed on there with a 7mm nut, and that's what's holding them on. So you have a stub axle that comes out, 7mm nut that goes onto that, and it's backed up with a 12mm hex on the back of all of that. And keep in mind, the total diameter of the tire is 80 millimeters. If you put standard 1/10 on-road car tires on here, it's going to be too small. And if you put 1/8 scale on-road tires on here, mainly those are like 17 millimeters, they're going to be too big. So it's one of those that's like a funny size to go on there, just so that you guys are aware. But here we are, guys, the HPI WR8 Flux and the Traxxas Fortec 3.0. This is the Hot Rod Edition, and it's probably the longest Traxxas Fortec that's out there. And I figured it's most likely the best one to compare against. You know, I have the 2.0, I have the Stingray Edition, but neither one of those are as long as this. And it's trying to give you guys a better idea of what this car is. So this car is like it's weird. A lot of people are going to look at it, they're going to think it's 10th scale. It's not 10th scale, and the reason why I brought up the longest Traxxas vehicle so you guys can see what that looks like. But it's not 10th scale. Those of you that are familiar with the hot rod truck from Traxxas, you'll know that it's a very unusual size. It's extremely long, and bodies for this are very hard to find outside of the Traxxas universe. So you definitely know the sizing of this, and just putting this and comparing it to the WR8, you'll get a better idea of it. But you guys can see from here the widths of the cars, and I'll take the bodies off so you can get a better idea. The widths of the cars are clearly a wider car. This car kind of falls in that 1 I would say 1/9 category. It's not as big as a 1/8 scale car, but it is clearly bigger than 1/10. And I kind of put it in 1/9. But here we are, guys, with the bodies off. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. In reference to the width, the length of this is just slightly longer than the Traxxas 4Tech. Let me give you a better idea of the widths by putting them on top of each other. And here you are, guys. You see the width of it. And these tires don't really have much of an offset to them at all. And you're seeing the width. And what I want you to take note of is the inside part of the tire, where it matches up, and then where it matches up on the other side. And you can clearly see the width difference. Not only is the exterior of the tire hanging off the sides of the Traxxas 4Tech, but it is clearly showing it in the interior part of the tire as well. And you can see that this is just a wider vehicle than the Traxxas 4Tech. Now I'm matching that up as best as possible, and you guys can see that the WR8 is just slightly longer wheelbase than the Traxxas. Hopefully you're able to pick it up. It's not much though, guys. It's not much of a length difference. But that's what we're looking at in reference to wheelbase differences between the two cars. Here we are, guys, the HPI WR8 Flux, the new version, and the original WR8 Flux, which was released back in 2012. This is the Ken Block edition. What you're seeing today is a custom body that I painted up. I still do have the Ken Block edition. I kind of just sat to the side, but I wanted to add lights and everything else to it. And that's why I ended up doing a custom body for myself. But this is the original one. You guys will see that the platforms have pretty much not changed between the two. I am not opposed to that because this was a great car for me. I really enjoy this rally. It's probably one of the best rallies that ever was produced. So I'm looking for big things with this new WR8 Flux. But from what we can see, the size has not changed. You are noticing a slightly higher vehicle on this one. That's because it's just a Ford Fiesta body as opposed to the Subaru. Hopefully you guys are capturing. The lengths are identical. I'm going to take the bodies off so you guys can see them a little bit better. I may have to switch them around because this one has lights attached to it. And the way that I did the lights, I'll have to remove quite a bit from the receiver box to get these lights out. So I'm going to leave it the way it is, but I'll just change the order of where you see the cars. You'll see the new one over here and the old one on this side. The bumper mounts are in the same place. Body mounts in the front are in the same place. Sway bars, hinge pin support, fixed links, adjustable links for the toe. This is a 10 kilogram servo that was in the old one. We'll have to see how the 20 kilogram servo performs, but these tires don't require much to move them around. Battery trays in the same location. Drive shaft coming off the front differential to the center differentials looks the same. Center differential looks the same. The motor is a 4,000 kV motor in this too as well. Steering assembly was composite then, also composite now. Bulkheads in the front and rear, those were composite as well then, and also are composite now. I'm still running Deans, as we can see, still running Deans on this too as well. Battery tray was adjustable back then. It's still adjustable now. For those of you that are not aware, the original WR8 Flux that was released in 2012 came with a Castle Creations ESC and motor. The new WR8 Flux now comes with a Hobby Wing ESC and motor. The rear body mounts on the original are taller, and that's because of the body style that's on there. This is more of a sedan, so we now have a lower body mount set on the rear. Rear shock positions look the same. Sway bars front and rear, that's also the same. 3mm shock towers and chassis, also the same. Mud guards on the rear, also the same that was happening from 2012 to now. Yeah, it looks like with the body mounts, they reversed it. So you have the body mounting system, because of the body style, on the front side of the shock tower, and on the Subaru, you have it on the rear side of the shock tower. So that's about the only change you're seeing on that. Other than that, these are pretty much the same cars, guys. They have not changed the chassis layout and style of the vehicles, and hopefully you're able to pick that up in the illustrations I'm showing you today. So the widths, the lengths, the wheelbase, everything is the same. There's not really much I'm going to be able to show you in regards to angles that's going to do any different from that, because it's the same car, guys. This is the same car from what we got in 2012. And I had mentioned the suspension setups are the same from back in 2012 to now. Yes, this car's been broken in, it's been driven, but I want to show you what the rebound rate is on this. And here we are with the WR8 Flux, the new one. There's not much difference, and that's what I was telling you guys. If you want that scale realism look that you've seen in all the videos that you've seen on this car, you're probably not going to want to touch the shocks other than adding the preloads to them. But if you want this to be a performance vehicle, an on-road speed monster or whatever, speed racing, I think there's other vehicles that you can do with that other than this. But if you want to use this for speed runs or whatever, you're going to want to tune those shocks or at least swap those shocks out. But they're extremely plush, extremely soft for rally purposes. That's kind of where this car is supposed to be at home. In this video, we've done a comparisons with the Traxxas Sportec 3.0, the 35 Hot Rod Truck Edition. We've also done a comparison between the new WR8 Flux and the 2012 edition of the WR8 Flux. But we're gonna leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest post to the channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.